Welcome to the Natural Genius podcast. We're here to help you tap into your natural genius. Let's go. I remember hearing about this Jen Goss before I had met her, that I think it was a Wednesday in Wales. I had to go to the local market and have some of Jen's cooking. And I remember the people in the Delegation chicken shed where we worked from, this beautiful bluestone old shed that all of the amazing do magic came out of. I remember them saying we have to go and get the takeout boxes that Jen creates. From then, I saw Jen working fast and furious at a place called Forest, and then also as a cook for Do Lectures. And the two of us, kindred spirits, came together and formed a really great friendship that has gone beyond a decade now. I think it was also formed by an amazing French omelette that she made for me one time. She's an incredible cook, incredibly competent, massively hearted, wise, so very loving, and jolly good fun. Enjoy hearing Jen Goss. Beautiful Jen Goss, welcome to the Natural Genius podcast. This is quite the treat because we're very good friends, and here we get to have a recorded conversation shared with others.
No, now I can listen back to it when I'm missing you. It is a real treat. It is a real treat.
It is a real treat.
Mm.
And as I was preparing for today, darling, I was remembering the two of us when we met, and you were coordinating so many different stakeholders at Forest. I remember this amazing property that, tell me about doing that. Goodness, it's a while ago now.
What, when I was like an operations manager at Forest, I think, and there were all the staff and obviously the lovely owners and all the kind of gorgeous customers and all the producers. And I mean that's me in my element, really. Lots and lots of people mingling all together, making everyone happy, coordinating, like you say. I still kind of do that now to a certain extent. I think I'm always in my happy place. I'm quite good. I kind of feel like I've got a really good memory as well. You know, I know, like, some people talk about having a photographic memory. I wouldn't say I have that, but I don't lose things and I don't forget things, so whether it's like personal things about people that they've told me or I've figured out, or preferences, or the way that people do things, it all sits in I've got a big brain.
Oh, you have a big brain and a big heart. It's a good combination.
A big brain and a big heart.
And
a big bottom. Oh. Oh dear.
I think people really get to know us in hearing this. And so that property, I remember being lucky enough to stay in the crofts there, and it was so beautifully done, so beautifully curated. I still remember those amazing woven blankets and the colours and the textures and just so many objects and wildflowers. And I just got the most amazing introduction to Wales. It was easy to love Wales.
I think Sean, one of the owners, Sean and James, Sean had a real eye. She kind of worked and trained in textiles before they kind of created that place. She studied and worked up in London, and she just has a beautiful eye, and they sell those beautiful Welsh blankets and all the things made from them. But just like the eye for like not buying flowers in, but wild flowers just from the, picked out on the land. that kind of in seasons, just like really simple old little milk bottles or little bottles with flowers in that like make it's like it's the attention to detail, isn't it, really? And like
Oh,
the attention to detail doesn't have to be lots of money. It's
well,
time and thoughtfulness, I think. And that everything always felt like it had time and thought given to it, for sure. Very, really beautiful place. Everything they do is very, very beautiful.
yes, and Shan, I assume she still curates the Cold at Night
Yeah,
blog, she in the shop, yeah.
yeah, yeah, very
So
much so. I
good.
mean, they're kind of evolving and changing with the times because that's nearly 20 years old, I think, what they've been doing. So, as
Yeah.
with anything in that industry, around hospitality, you do have to change. You have to change with the time,
Mm,
and
mm,
and times are slightly harder for a lot of people as well. So you kind of have to take that into account.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I love a little sidebar catch up with Sean and James. Tell
Mm,
me, Jen, from those times of being operations manager to now,
mm.
there's a lot of cooking that's gone on since.
Well,
Um,
there was a lot of cooking before as well.
well,
Um,
well said.
there's always cooking. There's always cooking. Um, Many things spring to mind, but a lot of cooking. I mean, I left there to set up. I left working for them to set up my own catering company. I
Mm,
actually went back there and catered for weddings because they hold really beautiful weddings there. But I left there to set up my own catering company, Our 2 Acres. And one of the first things I did was I had a stall in a market. The market's not there anymore in Cardigan in
mm,
Ceredigion in West Wales. But I would make lovely lunch boxes of food from all around the world, lovely ideas
mm,
of all my travels, made from ingredients from our small holding or like local produce, and which is something I care really passionately about is
mm,
the fabulous local produce grown or made where we are. Uh,
mm.
that was kind of like, I mean, I've cooked all my life, but that was the beginning of me catering for people in that way, shall we say?
And I have a feeling that was a Wednesday, Jen. Would that have been Wednesday, that the market day? Do you remember?
I
Because I remember the
think
girls and the other my beautiful friends in the chicken shed in at lectures as we were organising, and they were all in a frenzy the day before and a few days before, and it was like, we've got to go and
Oh,
get the lunchbox from Jen. And I was like, what is this magical treat that everyone is raving about? And then on the day, we were all so excited to come down and get
nothing
the
gets me
boxes.
happier than a frenzy about food.
Well, and
Oh,
that was my question, actually. So,
mm,
in all of the years that you've been cooking, I
mm.
wonder what you still love about food. I think you started to answer it.
I think food brings us together. And I work in a slightly different sphere now, but um, you know, we all have to eat, right? And how seriously we take what we eat is different depending on
Mm,
many, where we're from and our backgrounds and our culture and and our situation,
mm,
many things. But at the end of the day, we do all have to eat, and many of us do eat together. And that kind of planning and excitement around that, depending on how you approach it in your life,
yes.
that never goes away. That never goes away. I mean, I can feel really let down, like if I'm out and about on the road and I haven't planned it properly, and then I have to eat something that isn't quite what I wanted, you know,
Yes.
a mediocre, a whole mediocre meal in my life. Goodness gracious me. Um,
We can all be
Stupid.
inspired by you, Jen. Don't have mediocre meals ever in life.
Oh,
And
so,
even actually, sorry to interrupt, but I do have to mention the amazing French omelette that sealed our friendship, I think.
uh,
I turned up to your place and you made just the simplest,
oh,
most beautiful omelette with eggs and then heaps of green herbs.
herbs. Yeah, lots of
Just
herbs.
stunning. Probably
Do you
heaps
know
of
what?
butter, I hope.
I was working from home yesterday, and I was, well, trying to juggle my work, and my partner needed to get his tax accounts in, and he's not very good at stuff like that. So I was trying to do his accounts and work. And I was working from home, and so at one point I was like, "I'm just hungry," and he made me an omelette. He made
I'm
me a
really
lovely
Gen Z
mushroom
people.
omelette, a mushroom omelette with, yeah, just, simple. It's the
Mhm.
one of the best dishes still.
And I think I interrupted you, Jen. So you were saying that never have a mediocre meal, and
Mm.
also that food brings people together.
Yeah, food thing brings people together, and it's that's, in Britain we call it breakfast when we get up in the morning, and that is breaking your fast. It's breaking
Mm,
bread together, um, and it's that, that, and in many cultures, in many ways, we eat together, and
mm,
that is a beautiful thing. And sharing your food, but cooking for others, sharing what you have. I mean, all of these things are expressions of companionship and love and
mm,
caring, really. We cook for our family, we cook for our
mm,
children, we nurture them as they grow, we cook after we cook for the people we love,
mm,
whether that's a romantic meal or our parents
mm,
and then many, many people see cooking like as if it's their job. They're
mm,
still pouring that love into it. You know?
mm.
So for
And
sure.
it brought to mind all of the many do lectures that you've cooked for, and that's quite the swarm of people. And uh,
Mm.
I assume with the do lectures being like 3-day event, and then the I guess volunteer stuff beforehand and after. I mean, tell me about what you've learned or what you've experienced from through that. I remember also your wonderful collaboration with Anya, and how the two of you just have always seemed like just so happy to be together cooking with a team of fabulous volunteers each year, and
Mm.
for the workshops that do runs as well. So tell me
Yeah.
about being a cook
What
for
have I
many.
learned? I think I've learned that a kitchen can be a beautiful, positive, reinforcing,
Mm,
collaborative, joyful, happy place. We can, you can work really, really hard, long days, and
mm,
have fun and dance and put the world to rights and go through your menopause and discuss politics and save people and be feeding 250 people with a team. And I mean, I'm sure lots of people don't know what it's like to work in a professional kitchen. And some people
mm,
have seen bad press about what it can be like to work in a professional kitchen. But I think Anya and I have definitely proved, and in various other places I've worked along the way, that it can just be a place of nurture and love and and learning. Really, I'd say that's the biggest thing. Um, People often say, "Why didn't you write a recipe book about the do lectures?" And I thought a lot about this because I've written a couple of books and I have written recipes, but I mean, we go into the do lectures like with this like general idea of what we're going to cook. But Anya and I are kind of quite intuitive cooks, so like we're just kind of making it up with the beautiful produce, you know, as we go along as
what a
well. And
pleasure.
it's and just trying things and changing things as we go, and then someone else will step in and say, "But what about this?" And we'll all be like, "Oh, we hadn't thought about that." So there's kind of
Oh,
like a lot of kind of fun and collaboration along the way. The people who run the do lectures, Dave and Claire Hyatt, let us do what we want because I guess they trust us now. That we're, as I've
mm,
already said, using seasonal local produce all the way
mm,
through.
mm, mm.
We're kind of trying to steer people away from eating large amounts of meat and protein, and setting, championing the legume or the
Yeah.
the pulse or the lentil, shall we say, or the fabulous cheese. And we've definitely, you know what, we've worked really hard on that over the years, and we serve less than 50% of the meat that we used to. We used to feel like everyone had to eat meat every day. You know, they're coming from a long way away, and ticket prices were quite high. And now we're like, the food can be fabulous, but it doesn't have to be meat heavy.
Mm.
Still delicious, you know, and nutritious and just glorious in all the ways. What else have I learned? We've learned we take a bit more time now, Anya and
Mm.
I. We have a few days before anyone arrives, before any of the volunteers or anyone who's partaking, so that we can cook everything from scratch, because
Mm.
it's something we really believe in. So we'll be there quietly for a couple of days, also to make sure that we sort each other's lives out. Um, as you know, having sat in a car with me for many hours, Sam, that there's a place where everyone's lives must be sorted out in conversation as we go.
Oh,
Um,
I love that. I love that because it's just I'm such, as you know, and from your just point there, that I do love a road trip conversation, and
oh
these
gosh,
podcast
yeah,
episodes sort of feel a bit like road trip conversations. It just got a like
absolutely,
an end, a bookend to them. But
yeah.
so you're teaching me that the kitchen is a road trip conversation as well, or has the
It
potential to
certainly
be.
is. So we have a couple of days where we're making sure that we've put the world to rights, and we're making preserves, and we're making granola, and we're getting all the pralines ready, and we're making the kind of compots,
Yeah.
and so all of that, and maybe toasting the spices and the nuts and just all the little bits,
Yeah.
all the kind of attention to detail that when we're in the thick of it and we've got 250 people and we're doing their meals, all their meals through the day, and we've got another 12 members of staff all
Mm.
saying, what shall I do now? And what's going on? And, the dramas that kind of come with feeding that many people, that we've done all of these things, that,
Mm.
it's like a proper kitchen, whether it's in a private, in your private house or in a fancy restaurant. You're always preparing for, whether you're preserving for the winter or you're baking for the following week or you're soaking the lentils. It's not, cooking isn't about what you're doing then and there for the meal that you're cooking. It's all the
Mm.
things you've done in the lead up to it, whether you're making your sauerkraut, or toasting your spices, or all of those things. That's a proper kitchen. It's a long, it's a kind of it's interwoven.
Jen, amazing.
Mm.
And David and Claire's property, where Do Lectures happens in
Mm.
Wales, do you have much of the produce from the garden there?
We have some. It's not actually. So there's a lot of edible flowers, a lot of beautiful herbs, and some produce. Yeah, herbs and flowers mainly, and
Oh,
there's some
wow.
lovely. Yeah, there's some lovely fruit trees. There's apple and plum and medlar, and so there's a lot of fruit. But
Mm,
when you're feeding 250 people, that's not a
just a
garden that's ever
lot.
gonna.
Yeah,
No.
that's part of the reason why I was asking. And
Yeah.
knowing that your partner, Cole, had been instrumental in that garden. So
Mm,
it's there's a lot of what you just said that feels like it's the lots of people and
mm,
pre-planning
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
vision coming to life. I always love seeing the photos from the farm, thinking about the behind the scenes and all of the great visions of different people that have come to life through that. And tell me about what else you love at the moment, Jen. Tell me about your current work and all the visions around that and what you're delighting in seeing.
Okay, so for about 4 years, I've been gently moving away from catering for all the lovely people that I cater for. I started work on a project about 4 years ago where we were teaching people who wanted to work in
Mm,
hospitality. So we were like fast tracking them. And the premise behind that was that all the teachers were chefs already. So
Mm.
these, these youngsters and people maybe kind of out of work or thinking this was a career change would
Mm.
come on a 24-day journey where they would learn a lot of cooking skills. So whether it be, there'd be things like eggs, pulses, preserving, fish, meat butchery, that kind of thing, and cooking lots of different recipes with lots of
Mm.
different chefs. And then we'd also be sitting and eating with them and talking to them about what it was like working in hospitality. So they'd actually be talking to chefs and asking questions. Some of them
Mm.
wanting to set up their own businesses or catering companies or, like a cookie company, and others were wanting to actually go and work as chefs. So that was like a government funded project,
Mm.
trying to get people into work. There was a
Mm.
real short supply of people working in hospitality after Brexit. So it was in kind of not retaliation, it was in reply to that. And as we were working on the project, it became really obvious that there were all sorts of people that really needed to learn to cook.
Mm.
Not just people helping people get into work, and we started to look and think at um, who these people were.
Mm.
Young adults with learning difficulties, children in schools, still obviously the people out of work. And then we got more government money. So that project was called Cook 24, and we got more government money, and we started to work and kind of work on programs. So actually writing content around like a schools discovery program where we'd work with the children for 6 weeks. We'd have them holding sharp knives and using hot pans and actually cooking with spices, cooking with pulses, getting them to touch raw meat, getting them to think about eating the rainbow, where food comes from. And so we work with kids kind of in Carmarthenshire, working on those programs. And then as time went on, we thought about how can we make this long term. So rather than just be working with kids, can we take the teachers who work in the schools on a journey so that this can become part of the curriculum?
Mm.
So rather than just us working with the children, if we could get the teachers on board, get them being the ones teaching the children how to cook, because that's kind of disappeared in our education system. So we wrote and worked on a food leadership program with a
Mm.
really amazing guy called Barney Horton, who set the school of the Square Food Foundation in Bristol, which is
Mm.
a really well established cooking
Mm.
teaching centre. And we started to work with young adults with learning difficulties. We've worked on projects with young families, with young children who are weaning, because obviously it's not just children, it's in school, it's what happens at home before school. So
Mm.
kind of a myriad of things have come from this work. And then last summer, no, not last summer, the summer before, we launched Cegin y Bobl, which is Welsh for the people's kitchen. So rather than Cook 24, where we were always reliant upon getting government funded money,
Mm.
the thing about funding is you get it and then you have a deadline and then you finish it and then it
Mm.
stops. And there's an
Mm.
awful lot of organisations, and then you kind of lose all the brilliant people that you found and all the content and the relationships. So
Mm.
we were like, if we can set up a charity, we can continue the work and look for other pots of money and kind of really
Mm.
build an organisation. So we launched Cegin y Bobl in the summer of 2024. Is this possible? Yes, it is. And we finally got our charitable status in 25, in October. I think it was in October, and now we're in 2026. So we're currently teaching. And it's still the same premise. It's chefs teaching. So it's not teachers teaching. We're not within the normal educational system, which gives us an awful lot of flexibility. But our basic premise is chefs teaching people where food comes from, how to cook delicious food, and how, to have those skills. Because, I mean, I come from a position of great privilege. My
Mm.
parents loved food, they grew food, they preserved. everything in our house was cooked from scratch.
Mhm.
And that's not the case. You know, we all know there's a massive problem with ultra processed foods and the
Mm.
health issues that surround that. And, you know, those health issues are like, I'm trying to be really happy in this podcast, but I'm going to have
Oh,
a little
sweetheart.
bit of seriousness. The health issues in Wales are, you know, the obesity and the diabetes, you know, they're horrendous.
Mm.
So I know that I come from a position of privilege, and my children, they're kind of leaving home now, but they can cook, right? They
Mm.
know what is healthy. And I believe that that is a right. I think everyone should have that right. I really,
Mm.
truly believe that. And we've lost that. We've lost that in the UK. We've lost it all over the world. I think it's particularly bad in some countries more than others.
Mm.
Um, so that's what Cegin y Bobl stands for. You
Oh,
know?
Jen, that's wonderful. And are you a person that thinks sort of 5 years ahead? Like, what do you think
Oh,
Jen Goss might be doing in 5 years?
I've got my plan is big.
Is it? Tell me more,
I mean,
Jenzy.
Cegin y Bobl's plan is that, you know, we'd work in all the primary schools in Wales one day, and, you
Mhm.
know, it wouldn't necessarily be us, but there'd be offshoots or franchises or however it looks, right? And we've created the content.
Mm.
My plan, if I could have a dream, I do have a dream. I believe that in the UK, well, obviously Wales is different from England, so if we'll talk about Wales, but it's a similar thing.
Mhm.
I believe that the national curriculum is not fit for purpose anymore, and I'm sure we could say that a lot about a lot of countries.
Mm.
Um, I believe, as we discussed very early on, you know, we all need to eat.
Mm.
Okay, that everyone needs to eat to function. So if we could have a curriculum that was based around children learning how to look after the land and grow and cook, and all the aspects of education were taught through those in that way, whether it's geography or science or maths or English or culture. You can teach all of those things through looking after the land and growing and
Mm.
harvesting and cooking. I think that children should be cooking their own lunch at school from a really, really early age. And I truly believe that you could rewrite the whole curriculum around that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then everyone would grow up knowing how to cook and how to look after themselves in a healthy, delicious way, and where their food comes from. And I
Mm.
think we're so far away from that that it's really,
Mm.
really scary. So I do have a vision. I
Oh,
just
Jen, I love
rewrite.
it. It reminds me of Alice. Yeah, it reminds me of Alice Waters and also Stephanie Alexander here in Australia with the kitchen
Yeah,
garden and the kids being able to have the gardens at school, veggie gardens and herb gardens, and being able to see that garden to table
yeah.
process. Do that, Jen. That sounds wonderful.
So it's not too small a dream. I just want to
Oh,
rewrite the
I'm
whole
so
curriculum
impressed.
and change the entire school.
This moment is about your natural genius. If there's a spark within you that wants to develop a lighter way, a clearer signal to achieve more, I'd like to work with you one-on-one. If you're after inspired direction in what you have to give, get in touch with me via our website, naturalgenius.com.au. Now back to the natural genius.
I mean, at the moment, like the people who cook in the kitchens in schools, it's like there's like a big wall between them and the school, right?
Mhm.
You can't go in the kitchens. It's like there's a divide. It's like what is that? You know, it's crazy, really. So
I like the way you
um,
say that, Jen, because sometimes those divides or those people don't notice that division, and you think
hmm.
it's, there's the health and safety aspect, understandably, but
This is part of the problem. I mean, I'm not going to go
yeah,
into this too much because we worked on a big project looking at the school menus,
mm,
and everyone's so scared. You know,
mm,
everything people are like scared about being sued, aren't they? You know,
mm,
one tiny little thing happens, and then suddenly no one's allowed to eat any of
mm,
that or ever go
mm,
anywhere near that,
mm,
and it's just Accidents happen all the time.
And 2 points around that, Jen. Like, I worked with this lawyer relatively early in my career, and she was fantastic. We were doing new innovative products, and she would come in. She would have researched really well, and she said, "These are the risks that you've got. This is what I'd prefer you to write in terms and conditions, or the way we carry ourselves, or the legalities around it." But she would give us options, and I really appreciated that, because I feel like sometimes the legalities can lead, and
totally, and the world goes mad.
I really, she was just such a partner. It was so helpful to have her around.
That's
She
a great
was helping us
approach.
to cover the legalities, and also just being wise around. She also must have had like a good business acumen as well, because she was sort of thinking about the best for the business, not just the legalities.
Yeah. So it's really interesting you should say that. So, like, we're in primary school kids, in primary schools with kids. So we work with years 4, 5, 6, and then secondary school is kind of older. So they're like 8, 9, 10, 11. And we give them a sharp knife or a peeler or a grater. They're all the same thing. A grater is a sharp knife. And like I said, they're cooking. They're chopping it. They're touching the raw meat. They're touching the fish. They're cooking in the pan. They're putting the things in the oven. And you go and speak to any chef and ask them when they last cut their finger or burnt their arm, and it will be this week. Right? They're not like. I'm not teaching those children to not cut themselves or burn themselves. I'm teaching them. Or not all of the chefs, all of our fabulous teachers.
Sure, of course.
We're teaching them how to be safe and how to do it. Like, I've got a cut from last week on my finger. It's not. It's like, how do you do it? It's like learning to drive a car. When you go for your driving test, they don't expect you to not make any mistakes. They expect you to know how to rectify your mistake that you made, so that you're safe on the road. Like, we all make mistakes all the way through our lives. So I'm kind of like, I can't guarantee that a child's not going to cut their finger, but we're going to try and make sure they know what they're doing and how to hold the knife and how to hold the thing they're cutting and how to move around the kitchen safely and do everything safely. So it's like knowing the risks. Absolutely. And I think people don't cook for many reasons. Okay. They don't cook because they feel like they haven't got time, or they're not inclined, or they worry about the cost of ingredients. But some people don't cook because they don't want to make a mess, And I'm like, so we teach the kids that, we can make a bit of a mess, but we're going to clear it up at the end, And I do appreciate, like, if you've got some parents who come home from work and they're tired, the last thing they're going to want to do is have their kid cooking dinner in the kitchen. But,
everyone needs to stretch for goodness to come through.
Absolutely. And I know I'm a chef and I've cooked all my life, but I come home now and my children have cooked the dinner and cleared it all up, because that's the way that they were raised. But I am aware that we're not like normal people.
Oh gosh!
Well, we are, but we're not.
So much goodness in all that you just said. Tell me, you for so many years that I've known you, Jen, you've had so many hats to wear. Any tips as to how to manage all of those many hats? Even your small holding and creating a
that would assume I know how to manage it.
Yeah. Oh well,
I don't know how to manage it.
You're still giggling, my friend.
I'm still giggling. Oh gosh, any tips? Teach other people how to do things.
Oh, good going. Yeah.
Don't
hire your kids and how to cook.
Yeah. Don't hoover the house.
Don't hoover the house. Don't worry about the hoovering the house.
Don't do
even when the house is yelling at you, I need to be hoovered.
Well, the thing is if you hoover the house, it's only going to need to be hoovered again anyway, isn't it? I mean, this is me, okay? Like,
This
Go
is
for
the
a walk.
reality.
Just
I'll go
leave the
for a
building.
walk in Wales.
Yeah, just go
Yeah,
for a walk. Don't sweat the small stuff, really. You know,
yeah,
don't polish the ornaments if you've got
yeah.
any.
Look at your children in the eyes and develop those great relationships that you have with your kids. Oh, Jen, I can't believe it. I think I've got oh no, I've got one more favorite dish at the moment.
Oh,
Dishes.
am I allowed? Am I
Yes,
allowed three?
you're allowed more than 3. I would love to hear all of them.
Okay. Um,
And where did you
I
find them actually, Jen? I'd love to I can imagine that some of these have a story.
don't know if they're dishes though. Okay,
Oh, they don't
about
have to be. Tell me what's coming to
no
mind.
favorite things to eat. An amazing plate of cheese. So,
Oh god.
and I think so. I'm in my early 50s now, and you know, and I was growing up, and then I was in London, and I was eating out in fancy restaurants and working here, then everywhere. An amazing plate of cheese to me would have been like, you know, cheese from France, probably, really,
Uh-huh.
you know, and maybe a bit of Spanish and Italian. And now I'm like, amazing plate of cheese can be from Wales, you
Mm.
know, whether it's from Caws Tavy
Oh,
or Caws Canarth or a lovely little goat from here or a little bit of the, you know, like the cheese world has changed. So a fabulous plate or cheese board that you can just take your time
oh,
over and really,
yum.
really enjoy, perhaps with a glass of red wine and a really nice chutney or some fruit and a nice bit of
Ooh.
bread or crackers. But I really see, and that's something you can eat together, you
Oh
know.
gosh, yes.
I
What
do
is that amazing cheese place still going? There was 2 of them. Um,
House Canarth, maybe.
oh, I feel like up north there was one, and then kind of I remember, kind of on the way to Bristol to the train,
Mm.
um, yeah, there was this incredible and as an Australian, the cheese just was so cheap. I remember thinking, "Goodness gracious, this is
I want to know where you're
wonderful."
talking about on the train. So
Um,
you're driving to the
well, no, it
train, and
wasn't on the train. It was, I remember being driven I think actually David was good enough to drive me to the train, maybe on the
mm.
en route to Bristol, but, um, gosh, it's been such a while since I've been there, Jen.
Was it a
Um,
cafe?
yeah,
Was it like a
um,
restaurant
cafe and
near
deli. Yeah, lots of
Wright's Food Emporium?
could
Uh,
have been.
no.
I'll have to have a look. I'll pop it in
Okay.
the show notes because people need to know about this, but I was just
Yeah, no,
curious
they
as to
do.
whether it still
So
was going,
I
but I think that there was maybe 2 or 3 of these cheese shops, and then I think there
mm,
was also and there was cafes out the back of the one up north.
yeah.
I feel like you and I would have gone there when we went to Snowdonia for our trip to
Mm,
Snowdonia, which was amazing.
mm.
Um, and so, Jen, I feel like you were going to tell me more than just the cheese plate. And as we're talking, my beautiful friend Sarana, her amazing property has. She just goes around the garden in the morning and picks the top of a tiny bit of rosemary and mint and lemon verbena,
Mm.
sometimes other herbs, but mainly those, and scrunches up just the leaf, not the actual the sort of how it attaches to the branch.
Mm.
So the stalk, sorry, and she scrunches the fig leaf up and pops that in hot water. Pops them
Yum.
in there and then pops the hot water on top, and then through the day she has some and then tops it up with hot
Oh.
water. And so I've got some of it
Oh.
right now and some of the
Oh.
preserved dehydrated lemons that we
Oh.
did on her property with the solar panels
Wow.
going. So it's all
I
just
want some
sun
of your drink.
infused.
I
But
want
it's
your
just
drink.
like the simplest
Thank
thing. It
you.
can be only a
Thank
few little
you.
leaves. And so it's so lovely that
Oh.
I'm doing that while I'm chatting to such a culinary goddess like you. And so you were saying cheese platter that you love,
Right,
and then
so
tell
a
me about the
cheese
others.
plate, and I guess it just there's something quite important there that I want to say is that um I think a really amazing producer, like they shouldn't all want to dominate the world. Like, what about having really amazing cheese that you eat when you're in the area where it's from, and that's it?
Mm,
You know, like the terroir. You know,
mm,
like so really amazing cheese from where you're at. So wherever you are in the world, you eat the cheese from there.
mm.
So I'll just leave that thought there. My next favorite
Jen and her
dish.
truth bombs.
Um, so this is like always been a favorite dish of mine, and it's kind of slightly evolved. So when I was
Mm.
little,
Mhm.
my mum's one of my mum's favorite things, and it was a real treat. It was to have a crab, a brown crab, and she would sit there and she'd make mayonnaise, and she taught me that when you made mayonnaise, you had a whisk and you just let little drop of oil drop on the egg yolk. So you put some egg yolk with some Dijon, and then you drop like just one drop at a time oil to make this emulsification that would be the mayonnaise, and we'd have that with the egg, like fresh mayonnaise. I've
Mm.
since learned that you can just kind of squirt the oil in quite quickly, and people make them in blenders and whatever, and that making mayonnaise doesn't have to take an hour. But I love my mum for her
Oh my
care
gosh,
and attention. Maybe
this
she's
was
just down
sorry
to
to
it.
interrupt, but it's like hearing that my grandma and my great grandma used to cook outside, like take their
Mm,
baking outside.
yeah.
Didn't need to happen, but maybe there's extra magic that goes
Yeah,
into
I
it.
think there's a reason for this. Like, she's taking her time because she wants to have some time to take. So anyway, but the crab, like, has always so eating like a beautiful freshly cooked crab, the white meat and the brown meat with a bit of mayonnaise and maybe a nice glass of Chablis.
Uh-huh.
Um, but so then kind of roll forward a little bit to Colin and I living in London,
Yes.
and the kids are quite small, and we would have we kind of started a tradition off where we'd have this crab on Christmas Eve, partly because it meant that we didn't have to cook the dinner and get the stockings ready and Father
Mm,
Christmas and all
mm,
of
mm,
that.
mm,
It was a meal that we didn't have to cook. And so
mm,
we'd have to place our order in the fishmongers on Upper Street in Islington way
mm,
in advance, because obviously we were landlocked in London, so you couldn't get crab. Then you kind of fast forward to moving from London to West Wales, where they
mm,
go out in the bay, and the crab is literally from, like, I can see it.
mm.
Walk up to the top of our land, and you can see where the crab is from. And so we still have crab on Christmas Eve.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
and the kids are older now, and obviously we're not we could cook a meal on Christmas Eve now. It's slightly different, but fresh crab from where you're from, if you're lucky enough to be somewhere where you can get it, whether you have it
Wow.
like that with some homemade mayonnaise, or you just put it in a linguine with some chopped tomatoes and some herbs and some white wine.
Mm.
It's a kind of real favorite that has so many kind of connotations for me. And
And
then
Jen,
my
does that
third
slow
thing,
sorry to interrupt, does that slow you
no,
all down on Christmas Eve? Like, does that sort
yeah,
of bring you
because
into the
we get
festivities?
this crab and we bash it and we pick all the meat out and we drink Chablis. So you have to stop and be there. It's not a
Oh,
quick
how
meal.
divine.
It's a long, slow meal. So yeah, it does. And
Oh, I
also,
love
I think to know, like, whether it's like having a whole, if this is if you eat kind of meat or fish, but having a whole fish and knowing how to eat a fish off the bone, and like understanding that's where it
it.
comes from, like, and understanding that if you go behind the eye of the fish, there's a really beautiful little piece of meat there, like all that kind of stuff. Again, people have lost. So yeah, it does slow us down.
And you're about to tell me the next one that you love.
Well, the last one is obviously the omelette.
The omelet! It was gonna come into
Yeah.
conversation whether I brought it up or not.
No, the omelette has to be there.
I love
Elizabeth
that.
David, and she's got a book called An Omelette and a Glass of Wine, and boy was she right. You can't mess with a good fresh egg, some butter, some herbs, a glass of wine, and
Oh,
I'm always glad that you remember that meal, Sam, because it's a really important meal.
Oh
And
gosh, yes.
and
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
wouldn't cook an omelette for just anybody.
Oh, just I would say that was the moment that cemented our friendship, but I think that there's many, many moments that brings the diamond together that is our friendship. Thank you so much for your time. What a sweet, sweet shared conversation of our beautiful love for each other and friendship. I just, it's been a years, my gorgeous friend.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and it's been fun, and I hope you carry on having fun. Sending love from wild, windy, wet, wintry West Wales.
Thanks for listening to the Natural Genius podcast. Please share this with anyone who came to mind and visit us at naturalgenius.com.au. Thanks so much.